Hello everybody, my name is Amy Hewitt. I'm a visa advisor at the University of Nottingham, and today I'm going to be talking through some frequently asked questions that we're getting from offer holders about the visa application process, so I hope this will be helpful. The first and most frequently asked question that we're getting at the moment is, when will I get my CAS? So a CAS is a confirmation of acceptance for studies, which is required for a Tier 4 visa application, and it contains lots of information about you and the course that you will study at the University of Nottingham. You can only use one CAS in your visa application, and your visa will then be tied to that course and that university. So it's really important that before you make your visa application, you're very sure about your course and place of study. The first thing you need to do to get a CAS is to firmly accept your unconditional offer. So if you're still holding a conditional offer, you will not get a CAS document until you have met all of those conditions. The second thing you need to do is to pay any tuition fee deposits that are required for your course. This will only apply to foundation and postgraduate taught students, so master's courses. And please be aware that for some master's courses there is an additional course fee deposit. For example, our business school, if you're studying a master's there might be another deposit that's needed before you can get your CAS. If you're not sure if you need to pay a deposit, please check the conditions of your offer or log into your My Nottingham portal, and the information should be there. Once you have met all of those requirements, you will receive a CAS checking document by email. You will get this no more than 4 months before your course start date. The information will ask you to log in and review all of the CAS details, either confirm that the information is correct and verify that that information is correct, or you can follow the instructions to report any errors. So it's really important that you take the time to check that the information is correct before we assign your CAS number. Once you have verified that your CAS details are correct, you will receive your CAS within 5 working days, if not a bit sooner, and then you're ready to start the rest of the application process. The second most frequently asked question is, what financial evidence do I need for a Tier 4 visa application? It's really important that you prepare all of this in advance, because incorrect financial evidence is the most common reason for a visa refusal. If you are self-funding your application, so if you are relying on your own funds or family funds for the visa application, you need to show that you have the amount of money you need in your bank account or in your parents' or legal guardian's bank account for at least 28 days before you can apply for the visa. The funding that you need to show is the first year tuition fee, and that will be confirmed in your CAS document. If it's a 1-year course, for example a master's course, it's just the full fee that you need to show. And you also need to show money for your living costs while you're in the UK. You might hear that referred to as maintenance funds. The monthly amount that you need is £1,015 per month, up to a maximum of 9 months. So if you are coming to the UK for 9 months or more, you will need to show £9,135 for your living costs. The Tier 4 visa rules are very specific about what type of financial evidence you can submit with your visa application and what documents are required, including the format of those documents. So it's very important that you familiarise yourself with the exact requirements of, say, a bank statement. You can find full descriptions in our visa application guides, which are on our website. The 4 funding methods are listed. So the first would be a bank statement. That bank statement needs to be funds which are in cash. It can be a current account or a savings account, but it can't be shares or bonds or credit card statements, for example. The money needs to be held in your name or jointly with someone else, or it can be in your parents' or legal guardian's name. So please note that you can't rely on funding from any other relatives, such as aunties, uncles, cousins, brothers, sisters. The second method of showing funding would be a financial sponsorship letter. So if you have a funding from any of the organisations listed, you can rely on a recently dated letter from them confirming that they are fully sponsoring you, or confirming the amount that they are sponsoring for your tuition fees and your living costs. And again, please note that by official financial sponsorship, they do mean a government, a British council, international organisation or company, or a university. The third method is evidence that you've taken out a student loan for educational purposes. And again, if you read the guidance, you'll see the required format. And finally, if you are certain nationalities which are detailed in Appendix H of the immigration rules, then UK Visas and Immigration categorise you as low risk, and that means that you do not need to submit financial evidence with your visa application. It's still very important that you meet those requirements because you will be asked to confirm on the visa application form that you do meet those requirements, and the Home Office and UK Visas and Immigration do reserve the right to contact you at any point in the application process to request that document. So if you are a low risk national, you need to prepare the money in the same way. It's just that you do not need to submit your bank statement, for example, as evidence of that. If you are coming for a master's course of 13 months or less, you would automatically be eligible for the Tier 4 pilot scheme. And it's exactly the same as low risk in that you don't need to submit the financial evidence with your application, but you will be required to meet the requirements in the same way. So on the screen now you'll see an example of a bank statement which will be acceptable for Tier 4 visa application purposes. As you can see, it's got the financial institution's name and logo. It's got the name of the account holder, which must be your name or parents' or legal guardian's name. It must have the account number. It must have the balance available, and it's got a transaction history there which covers a period of more than 28 days, and the amount that UK Visas and Immigration will consider is the lowest balance that you have held in the account for the previous 28 days. So it's very important to make sure that your money does not dip below the required amount, even if that's just for one day, because if it dips below the amount that you need to have, the 28-day period will need to start again. And the most recent transaction on there should be dated within the last 31 days of your visa application. And when I say your visa application, I mean the day that you apply online and pay for the application. That is counted as your visa application date. The second example that we've got is a certificate of deposit account, which are common in some countries. These are fine as long as the funds are available to withdraw at any time. And again, you can see that it's got the date on there. It would have the name and account number and confirmation of the period between which the funds have been held. If your bank statement does not confirm how long the money has been held in the account, or if there's no transaction history available, then the best thing to do is obtain a letter from the bank with a statement to confirm that in the last 28 days, the minimum amount of money held in the account is X amount of money. And just to note that it's fine for the funds to be held in any currency. It doesn't have to be in pounds. You can rely on any currency, and if you want to check the exchange rate, we recommend using Oanda. So that's OANDA.com. That's a currency conversion website which UK Visas and Immigration use, so it's recommended that you use the same one. The next frequently asked question we're going to look at is, what documents do I need for a Tier 4 visa application? I will refer you to our guidance documents. So you can see a short link on there for our 7 steps guide, which has a brief overview of some of the things that you might need. That could include, of course, your financial evidence, your academic certificates, evidence of your English language ability if required, translations of any documents which are not in English. You might need letters from a parent or guardian, you might need a TB certificate, and you could need ATAS clearance, which we'll talk about a bit later. If you want to check specifically which documents are required for your application, I recommend looking in our visa application guide. So if you're applying from overseas, there is a specific guide for you, and if you are already in the UK with a Tier 4 visa and you're going to be extending from within the UK, there is a separate guide for you. And both of those guides, which you can find at the go/guides link on your screen, both of those are available online. If you are thinking of extending your visa in the UK, I do recommend contacting the Visa and Immigration team, because there are rules about who is eligible to extend in the UK and who has to apply from overseas. So we can help you to make sure that you can definitely apply from within the UK, and we also offer a visa checking service if you're in the UK as well. If you go to the guides page, you will see these two squares which appear on your screen. That is where you can download our sample application forms, and you'll find some reference to the various documents that you need for the visa application on there as well. When you click those links to look at our visa application form guidance, this is the type of thing that you will see on there. So some of the questions on the visa application form can be a little bit difficult to understand. Sometimes they're not worded very clearly. So in the yellow boxes, you will see that we have added our own notes to try to explain how best you can complete the application form to make sure that the person assessing your application can fully understand your circumstances and what documents that you might need to show as part of the application. So please do look at our guidance notes when you're completing the online application form. The next frequently asked question is, what is the visa application process and how long will it take? So as I've just referred to, we do have our guide to the online visa application form, and that's the starting point for your visa application. Once you have applied online, you will be able to book an appointment, and at this appointment you will give your biometric information. So you will have your fingerprints taken and your photograph taken, and you will submit your supporting documents. You can view a list online of your nearest visa application centres, the different locations for your country. Once you have attended that appointment, you then need to wait to receive a decision. Processing times do vary. I mean, the best advice is always to apply as soon as possible, no more than 3 months before your course start date. The standard processing time for an overseas visa application is 15 working days, so that's 3 weeks. In some countries, a priority service is offered, so you can pay an additional fee to have your application considered as a priority, and the processing time there is 5 working days. I should note that it could take longer because UKVI does not guarantee this processing time, and also once they have made a decision, it can take a little bit longer to actually get your passport back. You may have to collect it, or it may be delivered to you depending on the process in your country. So that's just something else to factor in when we're talking about processing times. If you are applying from within the UK, the processing times are slightly different. It takes around 6 to 8 weeks to receive a decision on a visa application made from within the UK. And again, there are priority services that you can pay for if you think you need the visa more quickly. The next question that we have been receiving is about BRPs. You might have heard this term. It stands for Biometric Residence Permit. If your course is longer than 6 months, then your full visa will be printed on a biometric residence permit. It's a small identity card with a chip, and you will collect that once you arrive in the UK. There is a code on your screen which is called an Alternative Collection Location, ACL code. The Nottingham ACL code is 2HE427, and we recommend that all applicants include that code on their visa application form, because that ensures that your BRP will be delivered to the university and you can simply collect it from us at registration. If you don't use that code in your visa application, the BRP will be delivered to a local post office, so it just makes things slightly more complicated for you. When you actually get your passport back, you will see that there is a vignette visa, which is a sticker located inside your passport, and you will use that sticker to actually enter the UK. The sticker will be valid for 30 days, and you will use that to travel to the UK. The 30 days will start either 30 days before your course start date or 7 days before the travel date you indicated on your visa application form, whichever is later. So, for example, if your course starts on the 23rd of September, the earliest you can enter the UK is the 23rd of August, and you can state your preferred travel date in the visa application, and they will take that into account when issuing your 30-day vignette sticker. The next question that we receive a lot is, how can I avoid a visa refusal? I would firstly say that visa refusals are fairly uncommon, and if you prepare well in advance, read all of our guidance documents, make sure your financial evidence matches the rules, then it's unlikely that you would receive a visa refusal. But our advice is to take extra time and care to ensure that your first visa application is your only visa application, because if you do receive a refusal, you may not have time to make a second visa application. So on our screen you'll see a link that's got our full advice about avoiding visa refusals, but on the screen as well you'll just see our top 5 tips, which I will quickly go through. The most common reason for a visa refusal for our students is incorrect or incomplete financial evidence. So all of our top tips are around preparing that evidence correctly. So firstly, make sure you know the level of funds that you are required to show. You will see the tuition fee stated on your CAS document. So you're going to add the tuition fee to the maintenance fee, which is £9,135, and make sure you're showing that full amount. Secondly, make sure that the funds have been held by you or your parents or legal guardians for at least 28 days in a registered financial institution. The UKVI has lists for some countries of financial institutions which they deem to be acceptable and unacceptable, and you can check that either on our website or in the immigration rules, or contact the Visa and Immigration team if you want to make sure that your bank is accepted. You should also show that the 28-day rule is met very clearly. So as I mentioned previously, if you do not have a full transaction history covering 28 days, then you should ask your bank for a letter which confirms the amount of money instead. Also, make sure that your financial evidence is recent, so very recently dated with a transaction in the last 31 days at the time of your online visa application. And finally, the full rules about financial evidence requirements and format can be found in the Tier 4 policy guidance. The paragraphs are 215 to 234. It does pay off just to make sure you're familiarising yourself with those requirements. On the slide you're looking at now, you will see some links which will hopefully be useful to information about visas on the university website. The second link is information specifically around the Tier 4 pilot. So again, this is if you are coming to study a master's course of 13 months or less at the University of Nottingham. There are some additional benefits for your application, and it's just useful to be aware of what those benefits are, and some information about how you can make sure your application is considered as a pilot application. Thirdly, the full information about funding requirements is also online. Next is avoiding a visa refusal, so full information about avoiding a refusal and what to do if you do receive a visa refusal. And finally, the 7 steps, which is the quick overview if you are applying from overseas. And you can also see the email address at the bottom of the screen for the Visa and Immigration team, which is immigration-support@nottingham.ac.uk. We are happy to hear from our offer holders with any visa application questions, so please get in touch if anything isn't clear. If you would like us to check, for example, your bank statement, we are happy to do that for you, so please get in touch if anything isn't clear.